everyone, it's Sarah Oblak Spiker here, and I am so excited about today's live stream. As the title says here, we'll be talking about health, happiness, and economics of rising up to the highest level of self, of service, living the life that we're supposed to and meant to, and stepping into the legacy play. It's been such a joy, regardless of the gruesomeness and heaviness of the current reality as some are experiencing. I personally have found this time right now to be such a fertile ground for especially us women to find a new way of being, more truest way of being ourselves. Sorry, I'm just distracted. There's a commotion going on in front of our house and our dogs are going crazy. So this is the beautiful part about working from home. It's never boring. Okay, so rising up to the highest level of self, and how does that impact health and happiness and the economics, especially for women. Like I said, right now we're seeing this mass awakening, and it's coming in waves from business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, to those women, powerful women on the outside, at least in the corporate world, leading the companies, starting to realize that this environment, this time and space, is an open invitation to shed the masks and shed these the layers of identities that we assumed in order to fit in order to fulfill somebody else's expectations and demands of what it means to be a leader, what it means to be a productive member of a society, what it means to be a good mom, what it means to be a great CEO, what it means to be an exceptional business owner, and really getting on the journey towards who we truly were meant to be. And there is value, very measurable value in doing so. And this is what I wanted to address with you today, because whether you're somebody out there who is experiencing this transformation for yourself, or is still in the incubate stages, when you feel pulled towards it and you're not quite sure what it is, you might not be quite sure what to expect, you might still be going back and forth because it is unknown, it is scary, it might feel like taking a risk. This video is also for you if you're somebody who is working, facilitating, or serving as a catalyst for those women who are stepping into the truest, highest level of selves, may it be internally, as a coach, as a mentor, as a healer, maybe externally, right? Many of those women will need to learn how to completely rebrand. And it may be through branding in the most obvious sense of the term, right? Marketing, branding. It could be branding in terms of styling. The list goes on and on and on. It could be personal training. There's so many different points of entry. But ultimately, this is the work that we get to do, right? We get to facilitate those transformations. So let's start with the happiness part. It's the most obvious of them all. Happiness, even though in our current society, what I have experienced, one of the things that really got on my radar, especially when I became mom, was this notion of chasing happiness and pursuing happiness, and how in different movies and children's stories, this happiness has always been, something to be chasing after and coming externally. Happiness to me is first and foremost really elusive, and it's not something that I'm chasing, and it's not my ultimate goal, because to me it fluctuates too quickly. Joy is much more stable in my mind, and that comes from within. But happiness, comes and goes, but whether I'm happy or not, it doesn't determine whether I feel fulfilled and self-actualized and joyful. So I wanted to get this out of the way first. If this resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too, no judgment. Next thing is about the health. And as somebody who has put on layers and layers and layers in the physical form to protect my own wounds that have been unaddressed for many decades, I know how it can feel when you're trying to fit the mold, when you're trying so hard to tick off the boxes and really put on the mask and be somebody who you are not in essence, that the additional weight can be one of the symptoms that you're out of the alignment. I know for myself that was one of the indicators. Another indicator when it comes to health of and how it affected my health was literally burning out, severely burning out. So many messages coming through right now. Severely burning out to the point I needed to seek medical support in the ER twice. Again, an indicator that I was out of the alignment, that I assumed this very masculine role in the world, that I pushed myself and would be pushing beyond my physical, mental, emotional limits to prove myself, and I would be wearing hustle and grind like a badge of honor. And I know for a fact that I'm not the only one, and I needed to learn how to shed those layers and how to really embrace much more feminine way. And I'm probably one of the last people who are be talking about balancing feminine and masculine and everything else, but there is some truth to it. And I had learned that as a leader, as a business owner, as a mom, as a wife, things are created in a very different way. Things are being inspired in a very different way when I am true to my own essence versus when I'm trying to assume somebody else's a mask in order to fulfill somebody else's expectations. Does that make sense? And that in particular is happening, this big shift, and I'm so excited to see it happen in both the world of entrepreneurship and in the world of in a corporate America. You know how one of the masks that we would assume, particularly in corporate America, is, wearing those suits and hair done in a certain way, and wearing the stockings and shoes with a specific style and a heel, commanding the space in a boardroom in a very specific way, staying away from very particular topics, stuffing down our emotions because it was not safe and it was not welcome to really express our joy, to express our anger, to express our sadness, because this is professional setting, God forbid, right? That you show the human side of you. We were also indoctrinated in the belief that and the war is still raging, literally, between the working and unworking parents, stay-at-home moms or working moms. There is no right or wrong. Every single one of us is doing the very best that we can. But there's, again, this misconception and perception of what box do you trying to fit in, and contort yourself to squeeze yourself in and clip your own wings, right? So that you're making everybody else happy. And the same was in business. And in particular, I remember when I was starting out, very structured, very strategic, very bam, 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 5 steps here, 10 steps there. These are the strategies, these are the tactics, these are the tools, go. I had to shed all of those layers. And by doing so, my health returned. I healed from postpartum depression. I healed myself from burnout. I opened this flow of creativity, allowed it to come through again. And not only it affected my health, it also affected my marriage, because it allowed my husband and I to reconnect on a deeper level. It allowed us to recalibrate. And as I was returning back to my true essence, it was almost as if the space around me was clearing up so he could get out of his own shell in the meantime, because I was so overpowering in my masculinity that he needed to adjust to kind of accommodate that and create a balance. In the same way, when things were going on in his life, I would be molding myself and literally shaping myself in order to fit around his energy to kind of balance us out. This is, my guess is where the "we complete each other" phrase comes out. And I'm a firm believer, actually what I had learned is there's no completing each other. We are our own individuals. And the greatest relationships are the ones where we are allowed to remain and continuously become the truest version of ourselves and still come together and form a whole new unit of us as we, right, as wholesome individuals. But that's a whole different conversation. So when it comes to, health and happiness, again, these are very obvious. And when you are a catalyst who is helping somebody achieve that level, and go through this journey, or whether you're somebody who's kind of sitting on the fence whether or not it's even safe or rational, right? We're trying to rationalize a lot of things. The last piece that I want to leave you with are the economics of it. So imagine living a life when you are not allowed to be yourself. And I realize, as I'm saying this, I realize and I'm fully aware that there are still millions of people around the world who are not allowed to be fully expressed for who they are, whether it's sexual orientation, whether it's how they identify, or whether it's the color of their skin, or even a gender. I realize that. So what I'm saying, the economic impact of it, we're not just talking about the pay gap of what females are paid compared to men, and what women of color are paid compared to white men. We're talking about the level, the capability of self-actualization, even when you're beyond being paid by somebody else, but you're your own business owner, you create your own fortune. Because here's the thing, when we are trying to clip our own wings and compartmentalize ourselves into boxes and fit specific labels and wearing the masks, we are blocking ourselves from who we truly are. And when we block one thing, we block everything else, right? It can literally mean the difference between, let's say you are a woman climbing a corporate ladder and you're not allowing yourself to ask for this raise. You're not allowing yourself to really command this boardroom. You're not allowing yourself to leave one environment and go to the other one that feels more aligned. We all know that in a corporate world, what is it you're making right now is gonna set the tone for what you're gonna be making next. And if you're afraid to ask for this raise, if you're afraid to ask for this next project, if you're afraid to leave one environment and go to the next one that makes more sense for you emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, right? It can literally, in a course of a year, 5 years, 10 years, the whole course of a career, it can make the difference, tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars of a difference. And the same way goes for entrepreneurship. When you are squeezing yourself into boxes and playing small and talking yourself out of taking risks and really following this intuitive hits and really pouring your whole essence into the work that you do, bringing your genius front and center of the work that you do, again, it can make the difference. It can be the difference between tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars over the course of a year, 5 years, 10 years, lifetime. Just imagine, and I want to invite you to consider now, the monetary value, the monetary exchange, not just being added to the bottom line and to our bank accounts and to our saving accounts and investment portfolios, but thinking about it as tools, as a capacity to turn around and really make an impact. And allowing yourself to do more good, to fulfill our mission, to fulfill our purpose, to really self-actualize. And I know for the people who are in my circles, we are doing what we're doing. It's not just for our families. It's not just to better the lives of our, immediate communities or the families of people who work for us or with us or helping our clients. And we're creating a ripple effect that literally is uplifting the whole humanity and is literally changing the trajectory of the future that our kids and their future kids and their future kids will be experiencing. It is this ripple effect. So one other thing when it comes to, and I had a conversation recently with a client of mine, one of the conversation when it comes to really shedding those layers of expectations and really trusting our own nudges. You know, when this client and I were looking at the future and what we were feeling called to create and what really feels good, neither one of us see ourselves in stadiums, right, speaking to thousands in the audience. I personally don't see myself running this huge business with dozens and dozens and dozens of employees, servicing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients. This is not what I feel called to. I feel called to creating a space, intimate groups, with those who have access to those masses. So my impact from the back end, right? And it's not to say, oh, you're playing small, you gotta think bigger. No, this is the essence of the whole conversation we're having, is shedding back the layers of what somebody else is perceiving as what it is to play small, and understanding what my design is, understanding what my calling is, understanding what am I here to fulfill and to create, and understanding that the way that I am meant to create it is to create this ripple effect. It does not negate my capabilities or aspirations. It's just, it serves in a very different level. And knowing that, fully understanding that maybe this will change 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Nothing is static. The only consistent thing is change, right? And then again, that comes with this deeper knowing of who we are and trusting ourselves and trusting the journey and surrendering into this flow. So to kind of summarize it all, yes, there are economic, there are wellness implications of one's ability, willingness, openness, daring to really rise up. It affects not just ourselves personally, it affects those around us, immediately around us, like our spouses, our kids. And it also spreads like a ripple effect that it can affect millions on a global level. So that said, like I said, if you are somewhere on the fence, wondering whether or not to make that leap and answer the calling of your heart, and trying to talk yourself off the sledge because it's too big of a risk, I can promise you that whatever is meant to come your way, it's gonna happen, it's gonna manifest. But the thing is, the more that you resist, the harder is it gonna hit. So my invitation is to trust it and surrender into the flow and enjoy the journey, because the best is literally yet to come for you. There might be some growing pains in the process of shedding. There will be also not just shedding your identities, but also shedding people's environment and circumstances and opportunities that no longer align. So that is usually that unknown and scary part of this growth and evolution that it does get uncomfortable. And this is where it's crucial that you're not on this journey by yourself, but you have a mentor who not only will be guiding you and hold you to the highest level of accountability, but also holding space and share this energy with you. And then on the other side, when you are somebody who is serving as a catalyst, who is serving as this guide, who is serving as somebody who now be helping this particular individual put the pieces back in place, create the new identity, the more aligned identity, whether it's in branding or reshaping their body or whatever, right? This is the value of your work. This is the lifetime value of your work. And please understand that you're not here just, trading your services for a couple of dollars or trading your time for money. Understand that the value that you provide, the value that you add is immense here. And if you need help in understanding that and bringing those concepts into something tangible that you can put out there, again, reach out. Let's have this conversation. Also, it's what I do, it's what I have been doing, it's what is really needed, and I'll be happy to support you in that as well. So let me know if this resonates with you. I would be curious to hear any ahas and your own experiences. And I would be curious to hear what is it you're creating and stepping up. And in particular, you know, yes, many people say that these are unprecedented times. I think these are some of the most exciting times because we really can give ourselves permission to finally step out of the cool prints and really create something new, starting by not our new version of ourselves, but this truer version of ourselves. Stepping back into who we were meant to be from the very beginning. It's really exciting. It really is. All right, so this is a thought for today. I'll catch you sometime soon. In the meantime, sending you sunshine and a ton of love here from New York. Take care.